So to kind of kick us off this week, I'm going to start with Matt's question here. It was a really good question, Matt, and I had been thinking about it for some time before actually jumping on the call. I'll read out the question first and then I'll go through it. Excuse me. I'm invested in a gaming studio with an approach of game first, crypto second. The game was ready for early access, but somehow a domino effect of partners and influencers pulled out at the last second. This ripple effect put the company at too much risk and had to pause their project until they figured out how to proceed from here. This market has caused many VCs to rethink their investments. What can you tell us about this? Are you going to go through similar experiences? Once Babel goes live, the company will need to pay for support service, etc. How long can Babel last in this market if revenue doesn't pick up in the first months? Please share with us what you legally can about how you see Babel moving forward in the crypto and macro environment. That's a loaded question, but I love it. So, kind of starting out with the first part of the question, I'm going to answer kind of generally, not just about Babel, but the markets in general. My understanding, this market has caused many VCs to rethink their investments. What can you tell us about this? That's very common in crypto. That's very common in traditional markets as well. Generally speaking, when you see downturns in markets, VCs like to preserve their capital until they can identify a bottom, in inverted commas, bottom, and then they'll start to deploy capital. But during that time, it's not that they're not spending their money. They're using the time during bear markets to research and find new companies that are building, that are developing, are the companies that are able to keep a positive margin, a positive balance sheet, and they're looking for all these nooks and crannies within various different companies around the globe. They'll identify them and have a course of action to take when it's time to deploy capital. It's unfortunate for some companies if they manage to secure VCs, preliminary secure VCs, and then the bear market hits. We didn't have that issue because we had our financing done long before the bear market started. But I can imagine for some companies it's going to be very difficult, and it has put a lot of projects kind of in the back seat, and they may not have enough money to continue. But to answer it for Babel, we're actually doing very well in terms of treasury and disposable income for the company. We did our raise obviously last year, and when we initially did our raise, when we accumulated all the funding we required, we sat down and we distributed it accordingly to budgets per sector within the company. So some for marketing, some for development, some for legal, and so on. And we did that, and we've stuck with that structure since the very beginning. Our spending to date has been very minimal compared to our actual treasury. So we did that in order to reduce our capital burn rate. And reducing our capital burn rate allows us to plan forward 5 years. So we have enough treasury at the present moment to last us 5 years, running at a fairly good scale. Not the full capacity that we'd like to see ourselves in 5 years' time, but enough scale for the next 2 years that will allow us to bring in as many users as we can, and hopefully that will turn our revenue positive, and then we can reinvest that into the company, leading us into 3, 4, and year 5. So for us, it's not really a huge problem. Where it becomes a problem for us during bear markets, obviously, is in other areas of the company, such as community building and community retention, and just general outlook on crypto projects. You can see with our current situation with MEXC, if it was a bull market, we would have to deal with that situation, which is taking time away from me and other team members, and we could be devoting that time elsewhere where it's really required. But for the last 2 weeks, we've been dealing with that, which has set back a couple of things behind the scenes, but we'll deal with it along the way. So the bear market and VCs pulling out didn't really affect us. However, in other areas, the bear market has. Once Babel goes live, the company will need to pay for support service, etc. How long can Babel last in this market if revenue doesn't pick up in the first months? We don't need to see revenue initially in the first couple of months. As I said, we've got the first 2 years. We have that time frame to turn net positive, and after the 2 year time frame, year 3, 4, and 5, our net positive should grow year on year, and then we can reinvest that back into the company. Hopefully by then we'll also have VCs on board in more substantial form, because we should be back in the bull market by then, and people will be starting to allocate cash flows into businesses. Um, Please share with us about how you see Babel moving forward in this crypto macro environment. Nothing is going to change for the crypto and macro environment in general. We sticking with the roadmap. When we planned it out, we planned for bear markets. We planned for a 5 year scope. We didn't plan for the previous bear market or bull market we went through. We planned for the future, which is being proactive instead of being reactive. I mean, if you're being reactive with a company, you would have planned for the market that existed when we did our raise, but we didn't plan for that market. We planned for the next bull market, which be 2 years down the line. So as we move forward, and as Babel moves forward in this crypto and macro environment, we're pretty well structured well for that, and we'll keep moving forward with it. So Matt, I think you just jumped off there. It doesn't matter. You can catch us up later, but I hope that answers your question. If you need any more clarity on that, please feel free to shout me out, and I can give it to you in text form. So we have another question here from Romano. Here's my question for Town Hall 3. I'm very interested in how Babel will deal with ads inside the platform. Could anyone who agrees to see ads be paid in VAB tokens like other sites do? Will there be a premium level that will not see ads by paying a small amount? Yeah, I mean, as of right now, there are no ads on Babel. Babel is a premium service. However, it has been discussed time and time again about utilizing a free tier, which would have display ads. It's something that we will explore. However, for us, the most important factor for anybody using the platform is user experience. They'll come back for user experience and the content. But the first thing that you're greeted on any kind of website or streaming platform is your user experience. And that needs to be perfection. So if we can find a way to use display ads or pre-roll ads or whatever it is over content on the Babel platform, and therefore offer a free tier, it is something we will implement. But we have yet to kind of discover a way that won't affect the whole user experience. That's coming from a personal opinion and a personal situation where I'm quite an avid YouTube user, and ads piss me the hell off. And it's actually pissed me off to a point where, like, subconsciously, I don't even see them anymore, which is affecting advertiser revenue. They're spending money on ads all the time, but they're not retaining or acquiring any customers through those ads. I think we're becoming more engineered to ignore them than we are to actually click on them, which advertisers want. So if we can find a way to display these ads that won't affect user experience and amplify the return on investment advertisers will see for paying for those ads on the platform, then we will absolutely introduce a free tier and work our way through it. Not all content that would be included in the free tier, because some content, it needs to be specifically designed and the revenue needs to come from the premium model, but there is ways and means around developing that free tier, including the ads and content. So I hope that answers your question. If you want to elaborate on that or anything, feel free to give me a shout here or type it in text below in the general Discord. Who is behind, this is another question from Fisto, who is behind Head and Strategy of Growth? Behind Head and Strategy of Growth is a new team member we onboarded this week, and a big shout out to him, Gopher. He is a awesome person who is extremely intelligent in terms of delivering marketing strategies and growth strategies specifically to the market that's at hand. So as markets change, you do different strategies. And luckily, Gopher and his experience, he was able to come on board and go, okay, have a meeting. We had a meeting with him and we told him, oh, this is what we'd like to do. And he was like, no. Like, this is not the market to do this in right now. That would work really well in a bull market. and in a positive market, but this is more of a negative downturn market. You're fighting to acquire people and retain their attention, um, and there isn't as many of them around. So he came in, he put a strategy together for the first couple of weeks, and we were like, "Oh, this is awesome." His experience in the past was with other crypto projects, and we're delighted to have him on board. So the next question from Pisto was, how does this work with Babel grant and rights? Will these films be on Babel forever? Um, Specifically with the grant and the kind of support we're providing to the film tree community at present, um, any films that we kind of help with the grant are going to be non-exclusive rights. Um, and the reason we did this specifically because we did not want to start caging down the small community that Film 3 is at present. You want to try and help that ecosystem expand further and further and further. You want to have more players come in. You want to have all these different projects discoverable in many places and as many places as possible. And that's why we went for non-exclusive. Over time and as we evolve and we have more capital and we have the ecosystem behind Film 3 expands and there's more content available and all this good stuff that will come eventually, um, then we'll start looking for an exclusive. But right now it's non-exclusive, specifically just to support the community and let the space evolve. The more it evolves for the space in general, the more it helps Babel, the more it helps you guys as the community, as the big part of what Babel is as the community. His next question was, when decentralized Oscars? Give us about 10 years without decentralized Oscars. Romano asked another question here. When will you open a Spanish-speaking section in the international category? Expansion into different language types would be a key part of strategy in the future, I believe. And obviously, this is something that Gopher will be covering further down the line. Um, Using different languages is vitally important to many different companies. And if you actually look to YouTube as an example, the YouTuber Mr. Beast, um, he started with a YouTube channel just in English. It did really well for him. We all know who he is. However, then he started to think, what about all these other languages? And he expanded into Spanish and Chinese, not Chinese, maybe Japanese, and all these other languages. And next thing, his channel even exploded even further. So branching into different languages is vitally important for success over a longer period of time. But I think right now for us, we need to focus on our English speaking channels, perfect them, and they become a template that we can roll out for all the other different channels in the future. Thanks, Steve, for posting these in here. So we have a couple of questions that came from people via DMs. Are there any partnerships coming up? Nothing that needs to be talked about in a general sense right now. If there is anything, it's going to be a couple of weeks, if not months out. Next question is, you've dropped a lot of hints in the past about a top 10 sex listing. Any updates on listings? I kind of covered this in a major announcement today regards to the NEXC situation. Um, we're not pursuing listings right now. We actually declined two listings earlier this year slash late last year with two very prevalent exchanges. If I was to name them, everybody would know them. I'm sure everybody's used them. But we decided not to list. And here's a couple of reasons why. The first reason we didn't list was, well, myself and some of the core team are experienced traders. We've been trading for a long time, and we kind of knew what market was coming. We knew the changes that we were going through. We identified that. And if we were to spend on listings back in December, right into the top of the market, you could almost say, that ROI on that investment on the exchange listing would not have been worth it. So that was one of the reasons. The next and probably the most important reason was we're pursuing our US legal opinion. And in order to list legally on exchanges, so there's no backlash in the future, you need a US legal opinion. Some exchanges are okay, like MEXC, Mandela, and Bitmark. They're okay. They don't offer their services to US-based clients. Um, but however, the exchanges that we were talking to and other exchanges that we will be talking to in the future, they need a US legal opinion. Now, the less exchanges that your tokens listed on, the better prior to product, because the US legal opinion is all about utility. And if you're offering a token that does not have utility on all these exchanges, you're going to be deemed a security pretty much straight away as soon as the SEC receive your proposal. So for us to be strategic and make sure that we secure this U.S. legal opinion, which is an extremely costly endeavor for the business, we need to make sure that all our eggs are in a row, all our ducks are in a row, sorry, and that we execute accordingly. And that is why, and probably one of the main reasons why we didn't pursue the exchange listings and we declined them earlier on this year. Once we have the US legal opinion, and the US legal opinion will only come when we release the product in the next couple of weeks or so, then our proposal is presented to the Security Exchange Commission in the US, and then they vote on whether or not our token is deemed a security. As it looks right now, we've been going through some things with legal in the last couple of days. We've been doing some clearing out of our kind of social media platforms and stuff like that, to ensure that we'll comply with the SEC and their regulations. But as of right now, when we actually release the platform and the VAB token has utility, we should receive our granted US legal opinion, which is going to open more doors than we care to think about right now. I can imagine that the workload is going to increase tenfold. It's pretty busy at the moment, but when we get to that point, it's going to be busier. But and there's also some partnerships that I'm not going to get into, but there's partnerships that maybe a couple of months out that are they're reliant on us securing our US legal opinion. So hopefully we secure that, things will expand and accelerate exponentially. Next question here was, will Vabble have in-house created projects? And if so, how would that differ from the Netflix ones? First things first, like there's no way to define why they or any reason why they would be different from Netflix ones. I mean, Netflix originals are just productions. Will we have in-house created projects, film projects? Yes, we absolutely will. But that is not at the top of our list right now. That's something we'll probably lean more into as we come closer to the year kind of like 2024, when the project's kind of all wrapped up and we have a good strong user base and there's demand for the platform. We'll start investing into our own productions, and I would love to put some into production myself that I have in the back of my mind and in documents here on the PC. So yes, we will get to that in time. The platform is, next question here is, the platform is designed for everyday users. How are you guys going to reach the non-crypto people? Reaching the non-crypto people is easier for us than most other projects. How, as an example, how can you take, a project that's out there, there's so many of them, that all you do is you download the app, you stake your coins, and you do a vote, and you receive a reward at the end of the month. Like, that's not a product that fits non-crypto native people. That's very, crypto nerd like, something I'd be into, and many of us would. Like, that's not something you can sell to the general population. They don't really give a fuck about crypto or staking or voting. Most general people are just passive consumers. So you need a product that's going to feed that, passive consumerism. And luckily enough, that's what we've built. Content is nothing more than just passive consumerism. And as we develop out the platform, we have strategies in place that obviously aren't implemented yet, but when it comes to it, they will be, that we're actually going to be penetrating directly into non-crypto people. One of the key things we'll be doing there is integrating with Snapchat. I've explained this time and time again on AMAs, but basically the way Snapchat works is you have a circle of friends, and there is a group chat for that circle of friends. And then within that circle of friends, all those friends have their own circle of friends, and all their friends have circles of friends, and you have this, like, perpetual circle of circles of friends. And what we're doing is we're integrating with Snapchat so that when one person in one circle wants to watch a film with their friends, they send out a Snapchat or they send out a Babbel code to join their co-watch with their friends on Snapchat. Their friends join it and they can watch the film together. However, if that room is filled, they'll be and someone joins, that person will be prompted to send out another code to their circle of friends, and it'll just keep going and going and going. And we hope to penetrate the market via Snapchat. It's a very much unleveraged piece of social software that we hope to leverage in more ways than just that one way. But we're fairly sure it'll penetrate very efficiently and it'll be very cost effective for us as well. And then from there, obviously, over time, we start penetrating more with ads and kind of like the general Netflix marketing strategies and so on. Romano has another question. How can we help Babel community more besides being active on RSS and report/tell friends? The best thing that anybody in the community can do right now is come back each and every day, ask a question, talk to us, ping me. I'll always reply. It might take a bit of time, but I will get back to you. Join the town halls, ask questions on social media, even tag us on our Twitter. Hey, when is Babel releasing the beta? Or, what do you think of, this filmmaker? And we'll always reply. And just keeping that conversation going. That's all we want right now from our community. We're not trying to badger our community with anything. We're not trying to put too much pressure on our community. We're here to help you guys, and we want you to help us by just maintaining that conversation with us. And as people start to transition over and move into our community, they'll see that we have a repertoire between us all going. We can have these conversations. They can see that as a team, we're open to all suggestions, we're open to all questions, and we actually answer them. And that we're supportive of you guys and what your thoughts are and what your feelings are about X, Y, and Z. So for us, that's the most important thing that you can do as a community for us right now. And that's kind of it from the question point of view. And just kind of a summary on what we've been doing at Babel for the last week and a half, 2 weeks since the last one. We've just been continuously working on developments, of course. I believe our front end devs are nearly there with the Next.js update, which is unreal. All the scripts have been done on our smart contracts. They're done, so we're actually reallocating our smart contract developer to join the front end team to speed things up because we didn't think he would be finished for at least another 3+ months. But he's just a beast. And we've done some PR for the settings on API endpoints and things like that. So for the last week or so, we've been grinding hard. Mud, our lead developer, is back off of his vacation, so he's catching up now as well. And hopefully things should speed up as we move towards the beta later this year or in the next couple of weeks. For me personally, I've been working with the legal teams, obviously talking based on the US legal opinion. That's taking a lot of time. And also trying to curate more content and build up a bigger library ahead of the beta. And that is proving to be going okay. A little bit better than I first anticipated. I thought I'd be a little bit more behind, but it's going well. And hopefully by the time beta comes, we'll have a lot more content on the platform. I'd imagine for anyone that has the alpha access, you will not see the new content until we release the beta. We don't want to overuse that content initially, so the beta will come out with a new library of content as well. So I mean, if that's it, guys, if nobody has any other questions, I'm going to wrap it up for this week, and we'll meet back here again on Monday the 29th, and you can feel free to post any questions that you think about in the meantime over on the Town Hall Questions channel. And if you have any questions you'd like me to answer immediately, just ping me and I'll answer them. It's been lovely talking to you guys, and catch you in a couple of days. Thank you.